Right, time for another quick video. This time I'm going to be trying to install this concealed chain door closer into our bathroom door. What's happening is the kids will use the bathroom, and this is the downstairs bathroom, and they leave the door open. That's not very nice. So instead, what I thought of doing is trying to install this concealed chain door closer, so that when they do leave the door open, it will just slowly close itself, and then hopefully be much more pleasant for everybody in the house. So this is it. What happens is the cylinder bit gets installed inside the door itself, and then there's a chain that runs down the cylinder that gets extended as you open the door, and that chain is, you'll see, it's quite hard to do with one hand, but there are two plates here. One plate gets attached to the door side, and then the other plate gets attached to the frame, and that's what slowly returns it. So, and you can adjust the tension by either tightening or loosening the chain itself, by screwing in or unscrewing the chain itself. So hopefully we can get it so that it just gently closes the door rather than pulls it closed really quickly. There is one thing to be considered here though, is that this cylinder needs to go inside the door. So let me just turn the camera around and I can show you what that means. Right, so this cylinder goes inside the door, and you can see if I put it up here, it's going to start to interfere with the detailing of the door. So I can't put it in the middle of the door. Instead, I'm going to have to try and put it right at the bottom down here. So first thing I'm going to do is mark up where it's going to attach to the frame, and then I can try to work out where it's going to go onto the door itself. Then I need to drill a big hole in the door, which is probably the scariest bit, and then I need to install it. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so these are the bits that make up the concealed door return. This cylinder here, at the bottom you can see there's this plate with a screw thread in it, and that screw thread is attached to a spring. You can probably just see it maybe. Then the other piece is this chain that's attached to a bracket, and at the bottom there's this screw with a thread on it. And then we've also got this other plate that goes in front of that cylinder. This chain with the screw goes down inside the cylinder and screws into that bottom plate at the bottom there. And then what you can do is you can tighten up the screw. You can either tighten or loosen the screw to increase the tension on the spring inside, and therefore increase the amount how fast it returns. This plate then attaches to the door frame, and the cylinder goes inside the door with the chain attached to that plate at the bottom. Okay, so first step was to take one of the plates, and both the plates are the same size, so I used the plate that wasn't attached to the chain and mark it up on the door frame itself. I used a Stanley knife to mark up the edge, as I'd seen that was a good way to make a nice, hopefully make a nice a tight fit for the bracket. Then I got on with chiseling out the door frame so that the bracket would fit. I'm definitely not an expert at chiseling. This was the first time I've done this on a door frame, so I used YouTube to get some tips and tricks, and it worked pretty well. It took me a little while to get it to the right depth and a number of attempts, but eventually I got there. One point to remember is that you do need to chisel out an extra section in the middle to take into account how the chain attaches to the bracket. It's a little bit deeper in the very middle of it. After that, I marked out the screw holes, pre-drilled them, and then attached the bracket with the chain onto the door frame. With the chain attached to the frame, I then marked up the door so that I knew where I needed to drill the hole. Right, so now comes the time to drill the hole into the actual door frame. I've just started it off here, but I thought what I'd do is I'd try and drill a long pilot hole that could then help to guide the actual wood drill bit as it goes in. I think probably my biggest fear is that the drill bit is going to come out, or the hole is going to not go straight and then come out of the side of the door. So I'm hoping that this longer pilot hole will help to protect against that. So yeah, let's see how we get on. Okay, just to show you what I mean here, this is the drill bit I'll be using, and if you put it up against the side of the door, you can see there isn't a huge amount of tolerance. So it wouldn't take much if you were to go in at a slight angle for, after you've gone in the full depth of the cylinder, for it to get extremely close or even potentially damage the side of the door. So I'm going to have to be very, very, very careful as I drill this hole into the door. With the door marked up, it was then time to drill. So I used the 6mm drill bits, the pilot hole drill bits, to create a pilot hole as deep as I could. By using a fairly long drill bit, it was reasonably easy to keep it perpendicular to the door. Then came the truly scary bit of drilling the hole with the larger wood drill bits. This was pretty tough actually, because the drill bit is only just a tiny bit smaller or narrower than the door is. So any slight movement left or right could result in it coming out the side of the door. So I took it slowly. It was pretty hard work, but took it slowly and just worked my way through, and taking my time to try to ensure that I kept the drill bit as straight as I possibly could. Once I'd finally drilled the hole to the right depth, I realized that the drill bit I'd bought was slightly narrower, or wasn't quite large enough for the diameter of the cylinder. So I had to use a file to make the hole a little bit bigger. I think I bought a 22mm drill bit, and it actually needed a 25mm or 1-inch drill bit. So yeah, don't make that mistake. Definitely made a lot more work, but yeah, I eventually sanded it out so that the cylinder fit perfectly within the hole. Once that was done, I reassembled the door closure. So I put the chain back inside the cylinder, and then pushed the cylinder into the door and marked up where the recess needed to be for the door side bracket. Then took the cylinder back out and chiseled away the recess for the bracket, very much in the same way as the frame. Once the recess was complete, I marked up the holes for the brackets, screwed in the cylinder and the bracket into the door, and then it was time to actually attach the chain to the frame. Now, to do this, you have to pull the chain out of the cylinder, and obviously that means pulling it against the spring, which is hard work. But they provide a little tool to help to lock the chain out, so that you can pull the chain out, use that tool then to lock the chain, so that you can then attach the other bracket to the frame. One tip there, so the way that you pull the chain out is by using either a crowbar or a hammer. You slot the hammer, the claw bit of the hammer into the chain and pull it out. I was a little bit worried that by doing that I might damage the door, so I used a cloth just to sort of protect the door while I was using the hammer to extend the chain. So yeah, you extend the chain, put in the lock, then using that you can then extend the chain a bit more. You can move the hammer to extend the chain a bit more, put in the lock again, etc. until you have enough chain exposed, or at least enough slack to be able to attach the bracket to the frame. Once that's done, you just screw the bracket into the frame and then extend the door. Once it's attached, you can extend the door to then, or open the door, sorry, to then release the lock, so that you can make the chain move freely. And there we have it. That's it, all done. So you can see it's a very neat little system. You can hardly see it at all unless you're really looking for it. And yeah, apart from my slightly poor chiseling down there, I definitely need to touch that up with a bit of paint. But apart from that, I think it's worked very well. So let me just quickly set the camera up, and I'll just show you how the door now closes. Okay, my main worry was that it was going to slam whenever we closed it, so I've set it to the minimum tension, and now it's great. It just gently pulls the door shut and doesn't actually latch it, so it just pulls it to rather than actually latching it. You could tighten it up, of course, and actually make it latch if you wanted it to. You could actually make it quite aggressive if you wanted it to as well, and pull the door closed very quickly. But it's great, even if you open the door all the way, it still just gently pulls the door to. So yeah, it's worked really well. I've been really impressed with it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do like and subscribe, and more content coming very soon. Thanks very much.